Hello everyone, I am back and I do apologize for the lack of videos that I've done. I've been wanting to do so many videos over the last few weeks, even months. I know that in an earlier video I had said that I would be doing a video about the Nexus, how I would have booked them from their inception until WrestleMania, and then a WrestleMania 27 dream card that I would have had. And then I wanted to do a video about The Rock coming back and hosting WrestleMania, and I wanted to do a video about this, about Edge retiring as soon as it happened, but I was just way too busy and with schoolwork, because I just had so much reading to do and essays and projects, and then the exam started. I was just way too swamped to even think about doing extra videos that I would have loved to have done. But now I'm done. So I will be getting to this, and hopefully I'm here to stay for a while where I can, produce maybe a video a week. I shouldn't even say that because I don't know if I'll be able to do that. For the next few weeks, actually, I will be able to, starting off with this one. Because, yeah, I'll get to that at the end. Just before I get into this though, I would like to thank Dinosaur Avenger 1989. I'm always thanking this guy, but he's been plugging me in the last few videos, and I think that a lot of my new subscriptions have come from him. So I would like to thank you for that, Matt. You're one of the guys that's really behind me. You're the reason why I started doing this. That really pushed me to do this, and I thank you for that, because I've been wanting to do YouTube videos about wrestling for the past few years, and Matt kept telling me to do it, and I finally did. And now he's plugging me in and getting me new subscriptions. So it's, yeah, I'm glad that I'm finally doing it, and I'm glad that he pushed me. And I'm glad that he's getting me new subscriptions. So I do thank you, Matt, and I do thank the new subscribers for subscribing. I hope you enjoy my channel, and that I can continue doing a lot more videos, and you get your worthwhile for, clicking that subscription button. So yeah. The main topic of this, as you can tell, is about Edge retiring in 2011 due to an injury from a previous injury from his neck, and it's just gotten way worse because he's been wrestling for the last several years with no real. He's had a few breaks actually, but that just wasn't enough for the kind of injury that he had. So yeah, it's not as bad as a death, obviously, in wrestling. That's always the worst news that you can hear. But it is worse than a regular retirement. Like when Shawn Michaels retired last year, that was a big blow, but he went out how he wanted to go, whereas Edge didn't. It came out of the blue. Like, I had no idea that was coming. You never do when these kind of things happen. And that's the biggest problem. With Shawn Michaels, we knew that there was a chance that he was going to retire, and so we were okay with it, and we knew that it was his choice. It wasn't because Vince McMahon wanted him to retire. It wasn't because the doctors wanted him to retire. It wasn't because of any outside force. It was Shawn Michaels' decision. With Edge, it wasn't like that. So I would just kind of like to reminisce about, all the good things that Edge has done in the past, because he is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, and I've been a fan of his, from the beginning. Like, I first started watching Edge back in the late 90s, when he was teaming up with Christian, and I just gotta say that Christian, like, you could tell that Christian had talent, but man, he looked just so weird with long hair, whereas Edge, it fit him. I don't know, for some people it suits them. Like, I know if I had long hair, I would just look way too weird, but like Edge, Triple H, those are people that, when they have long hair, it suits them, and it would look weird if they didn't, especially Triple H, but that's another thing altogether. He joined the Brood, and he was in the Ministry. I remember those kinds of things, and I thought that Edge was always booked as a strong mid-carder. Until he became a main eventer, he was always used properly as a mid-carder, and I wish that they would pay attention more to what they did with Edge, as a tag team and then as an Intercontinental Champion, because I find that that's lacking with a lot of other wrestlers, and we need more people to be booked like that, so that we get used to them, and that it means more to us, the viewers, when they win a title. Winning a title within the first year that you're there, like Sheamus did, and what they might be doing with Alberto Del Rio, although they've been pushing it off for a long time, so I'm happy with this, because as much as I love Alberto Del Rio, he's not ready for it, and I need to see him in a lot more feuds before we do that. And, Bret Hart, it took him like 9 years or something like that before he won his first title. He was like 33, 34. And same thing with Edge. It took him like I think he started either in WWE in 96 or 97, maybe even 98, but that seems pretty late. But yeah, he was in there for many years before he finally won his first world title in 2006. I can say though that I didn't really watch a lot of wrestling between 2000 and 2004, and it wasn't until I moved in with some roommates in 2004 that I really got back into wrestling, because they were fans of it, and I was like, okay, I have other people to watch it with, and I was just basically hooked again, and I haven't stopped watching since then. So I've really watched, you know, the big evolution of Edge, going from mid-Carter to going to like a full-fledged heel turn, and just getting a huge push through that. It's like 2005 was the year to build Edge around, and I wish the WWE would do that more often, because the way that they pushed Edge in 2005, you knew he was going to be a future main eventer. You know, he was in the Elimination Chamber. He was always given lots of time to get into his new ultimate opportunist and very angry heel. You know, always getting screwed over. So he always thought that everybody was screwing him over, and he just wanted to really get the title. And you know, then he had a feud with Shawn Michaels at the Royal Rumble, and then he went to WrestleMania. He won the Money in the Bank, and that was the moment that you knew that Edge was going to be a future champion, obviously, because he had the contract for it, and he can cash it in at any time he wanted to. And then, you know, he went into a few month feud with Kane. So not a big thing, but you know, Kane can be used like that to elevate a guy to the next step. And then, you know, Matt Hardy came in. They had a big feud with that. You know, the SummerSlam match, which I think only went like 5 minutes because they got a DQ or something like that. And then because you could tell that the hate and intensity was there. And then they had the I believe it was Unforgiven that they had the cage match, and the Raw ladder match. Like, it was all just a really good few months of feuds where they were pushing them and using the storylines correctly. It's like they always did that with Edge. They really took care of his character and his storylines that he was in. He's been in some weird ones, obviously, but for the most part, they did a good job with him. And then we went on to when he got injured and he started like the cutting edge, and he was talking about Ric Flair and kind of started a feud with him. And I think that worked so well, how that at New Year's Revolution 2006, he was in a match with Ric Flair, but he still won, cashed in the Money in the Bank contract at the end of the show after Cena had gone through the entire Elimination Chamber. Because I don't think a lot of people expected it, because it was the first time that anybody had this Money in the Bank, and he was in a match beforehand, right? So I don't know, I was still thinking that he was going to cash it in at WrestleMania and so that he could be in the main event at WrestleMania, but they decided to do it then, and it worked so well for his character. I still remember he only had a 3-week reign, but man, those 3 weeks were pretty damn awesome. He had an awesome TLC match with Ric Flair. People say that The Miz versus Jerry Lawler was an awesome, you know, old man versus young guy TLC match, but Ric Flair, who would have been in his 50s, versus Edge, that was the best old man versus young guy TLC match that I had seen. And then he did lose the title to John Cena at Royal Rumble, but you know, even not being in the main event picture at WrestleMania, he got the best storyline going in there against Mick Foley, and the best match of the night, because I think I'll even say that Mick Foley versus Edge at WrestleMania 22 was the best match of the WWE for that year, because you know, Shawn Michaels was tagging with Triple H, so he couldn't do singles matches, and when he did, he went up against Vince McMahon, so he wasn't going to produce like the most. He did produce the best that he could, but not the greatest that he could have with a decent opponent. So yeah, Edge still got the best match of the year for that match. And then the other, maybe one that could rival that, would have been later on in the year, TLC match against John Cena at Unforgiven. And that's another point where obviously I was a big fan of Edge before that, but when I saw that match, his TLC match against John Cena, where it was in, Edge was going in as the champion, and he did lose the title to John Cena, but it was in his hometown, his home country, you know, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And Canadian fans, we just have like this tendency to be so much more passionate and loud. I'm not saying that other crowds aren't good, because you know, if you look at New York, they're damn intense, and they'll let you know if they like you or not. But Canadians, if we like you, we're going to show that we like you, and we will be as loud as we can. You know, think of like Hogan versus The Rock at WrestleMania 18, you know, the crowd is just electric, and then, you know, the ovations that they get for like anybody that's Canadian, you're usually going to get huge cheers because we only have a few of them out there. So Edge going in as the champion, and it's the first time that I think that was the first time that he was in Canada as champion, and it was just such an awesome moment, because you saw that it was affecting Edge, because he had tears in his eyes and he had to slap himself a few times to get ready and to get pumped and, you know, stop having watery eyes. And that's where I just realized that, you know, Edge is just one of the few guys that is actually passionate about this business. You know, he's not in it for the money, he's not in it for the fame. He's there to wrestle, and he's there to do it for the fans. He is still a fan himself. He said it himself that, you know, he saw Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 6, I think, and yeah, you can actually see him in the crowd, and it's just, you feel for Edge just more as the person, no longer the wrestler, as Adam Copeland or whatever his name is. It's just, he's one of the few guys that in the business is an awesome guy outside of the business and inside the business. So, you know, that is probably my favorite moment from Edge. It's one of his better matches, the Unforgiven match, the TLC match, and it's also the one that means the most to me because it was such an emotional thing, and it was in Canada. So that's probably my favorite Edge moment. And after that, you know, he just went on to have a bunch of like matches with everyone. Undertaker, he had a small feud with Triple H, he had you know, the Rated RKO versus DX, and I wish that could have continued just a little bit longer until WrestleMania if Triple H wouldn't have been injured, to see what the WrestleMania 23 card could have been with Rated RKO and DX involved somewhere. Like, if as much as I love Shawn Michaels being in the main event, I would have liked to have seen what they could have done with that, because I thought that was a good feud and it had a lot of potential. So yeah, and even though the Edge didn't go out on his own terms, I do think that it was almost meant to be, because he went out with like an 18 match winning streak, which is just awesome. And then, you know, he went out as the champion, and he had a pretty good reign as well. Like, it was like 4 months long, and he still retained the title at WrestleMania. And he also had like a storyline going into WrestleMania where he got to team up with his best friend Christian. So it really, even though it's horrible that he has to end his career so early, it's almost like that's the best way that he could have done it. Like, in a few years from now, like, let's say if he wouldn't have to retire because of his injuries, let's say in a few years from now when he wanted to retire, it still would have been like this. You couldn't have gone for a better way to go out like this. It was perfect. As much as it pains me to say that Edge is done, at least he's going out and that's not on his own terms. At least he's going out in a way that this is how it would have been. So I will always remember Edge and he's always going to be one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I hope that he can continue doing a few storylines in the future, and then we can see him once in a while. And see him do just a spear would be awesome. I don't know if he can or not, but I mean, if Bret Hart came back, there's a chance that Edge could maybe potentially come back for one more match in the future. So I really look forward to him getting inducted into the Hall of Fame and whatever else he does after that. So other than that, I would like to just quickly say a few videos that I would like to do over the next little bit. I'm thinking of maybe doing some Ring of Honor DVD reviews, and I will be doing a preview for the next 2 shows that they have coming up in May, May 6th and May 7th, and I will be going to the May 7th show, so I will actually do a review of that. And I'm excited to go because it'll be my second time going, and the card looks pretty damn awesome. So look forward to those. I probably will be watching Extreme Rules, and hopefully I can have the video out on Sunday night. If not, it would probably be on Monday. So look forward to those few videos, and then hopefully after that, if anything comes up, I'll talk about that, and if anything else comes up that really seems worthy, I'll talk about that. If not, at least those videos you have to look forward to. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Have a good one, everyone.